Hello. I thought I'd take a moment to show off one of my latest shop projects. Really has nothing to do with wood turning other than the fact that there's a lathe involved. And the lathe is this one right here that I bought a year ago last fall. When I made my decision that I was going to buy this lathe, I knew right from the start that I didn't have room in my little shop here for both this lathe and the cabinet maker style workbench that I built 25 or so years ago. So I knew that I was going to have to get rid of my workbench. And I did get rid of my workbench. It was already gone before this lathe arrived. But there have been several times since then that I really would have liked to have a workbench to be able to clamp something down. And so I decided, actually I had the idea in my head right from the time I decided I was getting rid of that bench, but I just finally got around to doing it, to make a bench, a small bench top that would sit on the lathe bed. And let me do projects with some hand tools and stuff. So this is what I came up with. It's got a woodworking vise on the front of it. It's 2 feet square, hard maple, 1 3/4 inches thick or so, and it just clamps on the workbench. It is a little on the heavy side, but I guess if you're going to have solid, you got to have weight as well. So it's got a rib that fits down in between the bedways to locate it on the bed, and it has these clamps that come up underneath the bottom of the bedway to clamp it in place. So I'll just drop it down there. And I reach over and lock the clamps, and I have a bench top. It's good and solid. I've got dog holes that I can put my dogs into. Pop-up dog on the base so I can clamp things in between. And it has already come in handy several times. I've got a couple of coats of Danish oil on it just so that any glue drips will just pop off. And Danish oil, that's what I had on my other bench. It's easily repairable. If it starts to get scuffed through so you're seeing bare wood, you can just put on another coat or two of Danish oil and you're set again for a while. The vise is a quick vise, so it's worked quite well. My original plan when I made it. I had some I had these little Destaco toggle clamps, and when I initially put it together, I had these mounted on the back to lock it in place, and they actually seemed to work just fine. They just don't, to my eye, they don't look very robust. So I chose to get some heavier duty clamps to hold it on. I bought, these are called Bessey self-adjusting clamps, and they seem to work all right. They certainly take up a lot more room than those Destaco clamps did. So, I'm caught there. There were some changes that had to be made in the middle of things. Because originally I had these clamps and I had never seen one of these in person, so I had made all my design decisions based on the dimensions of these, basically. This bar that fits between the bedways was originally located, these holes were right on top of those holes, so that, and that row of dog holes was directly over the bed gap, so that I could push my dogs right down through. Unfortunately, these Bessey clamps take up quite a bit more room, and in order to, if I had left this where it was, then the clamps would have been overhanging the back by at least an inch, and then when I set it down on the floor, it would be resting on the backs of those clamps, and I didn't think that was a very good idea. So I moved this bar forward to give me more room at the back there. That also moves the balance point back, so that was probably, there's less weight cantilevered out over the front of the lathe that way, so I guess that's probably not a bad idea either. And that's the vise is mounted just like you mount a vise to any bench, I guess. It's below the surface. All the metal parts are slightly recessed, so that if I'm using a hand plane, and I set it down, I'm not hitting any metal anywhere, even there. This is not much recessed, but it's very slightly below the surface of the wood. So, and I know shop teachers always say you got to lay a plate on its side, but I don't know. If you're going to damage a plane by setting it down on wood, then I guess it's not much use to you. You can't put it on a piece of wood to use it. So I don't really subscribe to that theory. If I want to put my plane down like that, it's my plane. I'll do it the way I want. Anyway, that's it, I guess. I'm quite pleased with it. It worked out well. The dogs in every row of holes except those ones. Those ones I can go down that far and it bottoms out on the lathe bedway, but all the other holes I can push the dogs all the way down through, get them out of the way, and pop them up when I need them. And I'm quite happy with it. So thank you for watching.